Welcome to Recharge with Richardson. 5 minutes of hope and inspiration every Monday and Thursday. And now, here is today's episode.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Recharge. Do you remember the last time you had an exciting trip? I like traveling. What I don't like is the in-between. Sitting for a long time inside a car or inside an airplane or inside the train, and it's sometimes crowded places, uncomfortable. But traveling is fun, especially when you're going on a vacation, going to a new place, or going to meet family or friends that you haven't seen in a long time. I would like to think about some men who traveled a long time ago, a long distance. Tradition tells us that they could have been 3 men. We don't really know. Could have been 4 or more. But also we know that they traveled a long ways. You already know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about the wise men, or the Magi. Mattehw tells us, Matthew chapter 2, that they took off from the east. And of course, still there's not a lot of details what that east they were meaning or talking about. But many have calculated that probably they traveled anywhere from 700 to 800 miles to find Jesus. Now, these days, we can travel 800 miles in about 10 hours. You can do it in one day. You know, if you don't stop, you push it hard, you get your music on, you get the AC going, you get the snacks right next to you, and it'll be probably an okay trip. But back in the day, depending how you would travel, if you would travel by foot, you will probably only travel about 10 miles per day. 10 miles per day. And if you travel maybe by camel, that probably would be about 20 miles per day. So 800 miles, depends on how you travel. It will be more than 40 or 50 days or 60 days. So you're talking about a month, over a month, 2 months traveling. Now, even though I like traveling, I do not think I can handle that much of traveling, especially without any comforts as we have them today. But there's a great lesson for us to learn, and I would share with you that these men had something what I call the Magi factor. Yeah, the wise men, also known as the Magi. What is the Magi factor? Well, they were determined to maximize God's invitation. You get it? Magi, maximize God's invitation. They had received the invitation to meet the Messiah, and they were determined to do whatever it took for them to get to the presence of Jesus. So here are 3 things that we need to do to maximize God's invitation. You have to do whatever it takes. When you receive God's invitation for intimacy, when you receive God's call to be His child, you need to do whatever it takes. And these men, they did whatever it took to get there. Number 2, the Magi, they didn't come empty-handed. They brought their best. They brought the gold, they brought the frankincense, they brought the myrrh. So you have to bring whatever it takes. You know, you just cannot come cheap before Jesus. You have to sacrifice something of value. That's how you maximize God's invitation. And number 3, after they met Herod, the king, they went and found Jesus. And the king has asked them to come back and tell them where Jesus was, quote unquote, to go and worship him. But you know the story, he wanted to kill them. So before they returned back home, they had a dream, and God says, do not go back to Herod because he is going to harm the child. So what did they do? They avoided the king, they avoided Jesus. So they took a different turn back home. So the third thing we need to do to maximize God's invitation and to keep that is we need to do whatever we need to avoid whatever it takes. We need to refuse to be places, to do things, even to meet certain people that can damage that invitation of God. So again, I hope you will take the Magi factor seriously. Maximize God's invitation by doing whatever it takes, by bringing to God whatever it takes, and by avoiding whatever it takes. So let me paraphrase Isaiah 48:11. That's the promise for you tonight, or today, or this morning. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land. He will strengthen you. That is the promise for anyone who decides to maximize God's invitation. I hope you have been recharged and encouraged until we meet again.
Thank you for joining us for Recharge with Richardson. Don't forget to join us for our next episode, and until then, may God fill you with joy and peace and hope.